I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans.
And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field.
Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching-band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Welcome to Let Him Cook. We are one day post the Oklahoma State loss. Nigel, we've got the Houston game to recap, the Oklahoma State game to recap. Kind of the injuries going into the Houston game is where we're going to start. Let's just hop right in. When you heard that both Curtis Jones and Keyshawn Gilbert were going to be out against Houston, what were your expectations for that game?
Be perfectly honest with you, utter disappointment. And I was served a big, tasty dish of it. So this was not a fun week of basketball, guys. And I think it shows in how we're recording this. We're recording this a day after the OK State game. Dylan and I weren't in the best moods yesterday when it came to Iowa State basketball. So I think we just needed a night to cool off, just really decompress and really take in the loss and really, just sitting in and try to find some positives. But yeah, to go into the weekend kind of blindsided, because mind you, unlike yourself, where there's a lot more downtime in between, like you going out to film something for work, or there's just more time for you to sit around and wait until someone tells you what to do. Obviously, like your assignment as a photog in news. And I know this because I was sitting next to Dylan a lot during my internship, pretty much talking about basketball. But yeah, no, I like, as me, who is kind of like needs to put my phone away in order to focus in on work for 8 hours a day. Like, I come to this news and I'm kind of blindsided, and I don't see it coming. And then I'm like, I think going into Houston, I'm like, all right, we're finally picking up speed. We're good. I think we're going to be okay. And I said it here on the pod. Like, I thought we were going to be just fine, especially in an environment like Houston, College game day there, all that good stuff. And it was nothing. It wasn't what I wanted. Obviously, we competed well, but yeah, I knew once Keyshawn and Curtis were ruled out, obviously for two different reasons, my confidence was thrown in the trash. And LJ Cryer decided to have a generational performance. His 36-year-old ass. So really sick and tired of seeing him. Would love him to hit the job market pretty soon. So yeah, that's how I felt on Saturday, to answer your question.
As soon as you hear those two guys are out, I was like, I hope Momcilovic shoots it 30 times, and let's just see where that takes us. Like you said, LJ Cryer has truly really struggled against Iowa State almost his entire career. I think he had one game with Baylor where he played pretty good. But all three games last year, he struggled against us playing for Houston. Obviously, this is the first time Houston plays Iowa State this year, and 28 points. Dog, he's hitting step backs, he's hitting hezzies, he's calling for ball screens, he's waving them away. A lot of their offense in the second half was just give LJ Cryer the damn ball and let him score a bucket, and it worked a lot of the time. The other thing I want to say, going into halftime, I don't think there's a single Iowa State fan. Maybe there's people more delusional than I am, but Jefferson and Momcilovic were 0 for 10 from the floor. You're down Curtis, you're down Keyshawn. Basically, I mean, Taman's a great offensive player in his own way, but really your four best shot creators, scorers, are
go-to options.
Yeah, exactly. If
two aren't there, and the other two are playing terribly.
Yeah. We had no business even being in that game in the second half. And I just want to commend the team, and I honestly felt good about the effort because Iowa State comes back. There's a moment where if you're watching that game with friends or family, you're kind of looking at each other like, hey, don't let us get hot. Like if we can somehow pull this off, this is a huge, like, you know, this is going to lead Sports Center. Iowa State's down their two best players, and they walk into Houston on College game day and win. Obviously, that doesn't happen mostly because of LJ Cryer. I mean, Houston just played Houston basketball. I really think they're operating on the same level as Auburn and Duke at this point. I think those three teams have certainly separated themselves. Auburn just beat the hell out of Mississippi State, which is a good team. I know Duke beat Miami by 75 points earlier this week. So I think those three teams have separated themselves. But I was not upset with the performance against Houston. I think the body language was good. The second half fight was incredible. And I honestly felt good going into this backstretch after the Houston game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and to think that, you know, it resulted to us putting our bottom half of our rotation into this game.
Yeah, Cade Kelderman
getting minutes, making passes, picking up LJ Cryer. What the hell is going on? I'm actually appalled that game. Us as fans, we felt like we had more of a chance in that contest than we did last night against OK State with Curtis back, at least. I know he's been battling the flu, which is not always the easiest to recover from.
I think post game he said walking pneumonia, and that has been like floating around Iowa all winter, and that will. Yeah,
I think our producer Aiden Wyatt might have walking pneumonia. Yeah. If you would have heard that kid, Aiden. Get well soon, Mr. Wyatt. Jesus. But yeah, no, I'm not surprised. I mean, please, Cyclones, wash your hands. I'm not joking.
Sure.
It's making our basketball team lose. Enough is enough. Please wash your hands. But yeah, no, I just to see that like there was more effort put into that game was a little disappointing. But I'm still happy to see that against, you know, that big of an opponent we can show that much fight. Just because I was a little nervous about, you know, what's the dynamic going to be with essentially your two, you know, cover of the book type guys. You know, these are two guys on the Slam magazine about a month ago. You know, what's the dynamic going to be with them? One on the bench, one not even at the game. So it definitely brought some different feelings that I had never felt before up into this year. And it just shows once again, like we are a team this year that we have to be at full strength to be who we are. Like we're deep, but we're deep to the extent of essentially everyone is a star in their role. And once you take one role away from our rotation, we lose a severe piece. Like we need all pieces of the puzzle in order to reach the pinnacles we plan to reach this year. And I think that's what this weekend and this week overall kind of showed me about this team is come tournament time, you need everyone healthy and you can't afford to lose anybody. Like I would even argue you can't even afford to lose anybody really in foul trouble. Like, and even if they are in foul trouble, like you got to play through it because we've shown time and time again, one piece missing from this puzzle is going to mess up the entire picture. So I think overall it's going to take just obviously taking care of our bodies, both, you know, physically from muscle and bone standpoint, but also from just an immune system standpoint. We can't afford to lose anybody else going forward because February was not pretty for us. We were 4-4 on the month. So totally not chill. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, since the loss at Arizona, Iowa State's 4-5 after starting 17-2. What I want to, and I don't know if I have a good answer. Why do you think it is that? I mean, when Momcilovic went down, we look like a different team. Now that Keyshawn is gone, what is it about this team that when we lose a guy, it seems like we don't have a guy to fill that place? Is it because guys are kind of, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but they're just so good at what they do that when they're a full puzzle, it makes more sense. And when you take some of those pieces out.
Yeah, no, I think the whole gist of it is when TJ looked at the returners of this team coming back from last year, I think the entire premise and kind of philosophy behind it was to build around those guys. And what do the guys that we have currently on the roster lack? and then when we go to the transfer portal, we're going to go find guys who can then fill those voids. And probably I don't think it's fair to call that one dimensional, but it's just you're playing to your strengths. Right. And then when you're asked to play to someone else's strengths because they didn't show up to work that day, it's going to be a bit of an adjustment period. Whereas you're playing one of the best teams in the country, they're going to see that, smell blood, and they're going to bite you right in the neck. So I think it's just wrong place, wrong time, essentially, to go down those two guys specifically and then go into Houston. Like, I'd rather walk into a burning building than do that again. So I think definitely it's just like the way this team was built this year, especially with nowadays how you can approach the transfer portal and just essentially let that be a place where you kind of fix what you lack as a team. Just the guys that we added to the team, like, it's just hard to ask them. It's hard to ask a Nate Heisey to come in, start, and give off the same impact that a Curtis would have, whether he's starting or coming off the bench. He's not Curtis, and that's okay. Yeah. So I just think it's just, team makeup this year. I think that's the big issue. But it also just shows how we can't really afford to lose anybody going forward, especially after Keyshawn, his leg gets healed and he's good to go. And obviously Curtis is back to full healthy strength. We really have to lock in and just stay in a bubble, stay connected, and not essentially control what we can control. Because obviously I know Milan didn't try to get hurt in practice, but it happened. But definitely just want to control what we control. I will give our team the pass because of what is going on in Iowa. There's viruses going on. I get it. But this is the most serious part of the year. I think staying healthy, taking your supplements, drinking your orange juice, that is something you can control. And if you do the little things when it comes to your immune system, I think that should never be a problem going forth with this team. So we definitely got to stay healthy from an immune system standpoint, but also just, hot tub, cold tub, whatever you got to do to rehabilitate that body, do it. Because we need to be at full strength come March.
In these last two games especially, and I think I honestly probably noticed it more last night than I did against Houston, but initiating offense, it feels like, and I know that Kurt's not 100% yet. At times, it felt like Taman Lipsy was the only guy that could initiate offense last night. And I think that's where you really feel Keyshawn's absence, simply in terms of like just ball handling. Someone to bring the ball up, get the offense started, and then to attack. Like, Taman Lipsy shot 7 3-pointers in the first half against Oklahoma State, and not all of those were settling. Some of those were open shots, and I would tell him to shoot those. But at some point, and I even feel like Keyshawn, kind of during that 4-win streak, I don't want to see us get complacent with looks. And Houston's a game where if you're open, you got to shoot it immediately because you're probably not getting open a second time in that possession. And I feel like in that game, we were kind of passing out of good looks, and then there's 5 seconds left on the shot clock, and you have to take a bad look. So there's a healthy mix somewhere. I don't like shooting threes 10 seconds into the shot clock when I think we could probably, get the ball into Jefferson, play inside out. But I also don't want to hold the ball like it's a grenade, and then you just have to throw something up with 3 seconds. And again, I think this goes back to full health. Nigel, I was crunching numbers. I'm trying to do anything I can to look and see, okay, we started 17-2. One of the best starts in Iowa State history. We're 4-5 in the 9 games since. What the hell happened? And a lot of people, and this is when you were saying we were in a bad mood last night, I'm in quite a few group chats, and turnovers. The turnover problem got brought up, and I think every group chat that I'm in. And I think where I'm at with it, Iowa State has turned the ball over more. And the stat that looks really bad right now is their turnover rate. So, in that 9-game stretch, out of every 5 possessions, 1 possession ends in a turnover. That's a lot of possessions ending in a turnover. But the other side of that coin is Iowa State is elite at forcing turnovers on the other end. They don't wash out completely. That's not like a double foul and you play on. But as long as you play good in other areas, like we saw during that 4-game win streak, as long as we're good in points in the paint, as long as we're good in rebounding, guys are hitting shots, guys are getting their spots, you can turn the ball over and still win games. But when you go into Oklahoma State and you turn the ball over 18 times and you can't make free throws, they rebounded well, but points in the paint was terrible. Like, you can't slip up when you turn the ball over 18 times in a game. And that's what scares me about March. And I don't want to say our ceiling has gotten lower, but you got to take care of the ball, because if you don't, you got to be perfect everywhere else. And we've proven that we can't do that every night. So that is my biggest fear.
Well, and I get you there, but I mean, if that's the case, if we feel like we have to be perfect, when the hell has any good team been perfect in this tournament?
I'm saying if you turn the ball over as much as we are right now, you got to be perfect everywhere else, because turning the ball over 18 times is not perfect.
But we're not, though. Like, we're good in a lot of areas, but we're not perfect, I think. In it. Like, TJ has still yet to be like, oh, we played our perfect game. Like, in that 17-2 stretch, he still thought this team had a bit more. And we've had nine games since that comment was made. I think that's a huge kind of notion of, while the ceiling seemed very high at that point, I think kind of the roof has gotten a little smaller since then, just because of, obviously, there's not, I think controlling what you can control is huge, but we've also shown that we're just not at full strength all the time. And obviously with that being like, you can turn the ball over as much as you want, healthy or not. Like, that's going to be the real issue, as if you can actually show up to the game all in one cohesive piece. Just because like there's too much going on in the tournament, and initially to be kind of so set on just not turning the ball over. If we don't turn the ball over, we'll be okay. I think there's a lot of other factors that go into play, and I think too, just kind of the way we play, I think can be a little damaging to one's body if not not being cautious enough. Like, I think a lot of kind of the ticky-tack injuries we've dealt with this year is just because of the style we play. It's reckless, it's in your face, and sometimes it's like, I don't know, it's like punching a glass mirror. Like, you're gonna hurt yourself in the process being that aggressive, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like sometimes, and I don't necessarily want to say, hey TJ, let's turn down the edge of your program. Like, that's not obviously the message I want to rely to our basketball team. But you definitely just wish like our team overall had a bit more poise. Because I think that's half of the issue with the turnover problem, is just like, oh, we'll turn the ball over. I mean, we'll force a turnover. We get to steal. We're in transition, but then we turn the ball over almost instantly. Like, there is no like calming of taking a deep breath after doing the good thing, which is causing havoc on defense. So I think it's definitely. I think I don't want to say it's too late to be able to pick that up, but that definitely would be a nice quality to have. But when you don't have that in late February, question marks are definitely at a rise. Like, I'm questioning a lot about this team that I wasn't questioning a month ago. So I think we're in a very like odd space right now, and I think the only way to prove me wrong is we got to stay healthy, and I need to see it done that way. It's the only way I've seen it be done, and be done successfully, essentially.
And speaking of just like health, I mean, we are basically playing a glorified 6-man rotation against Houston. I know we played more than 6 guys, but we usually play 8 guys. 2 of those guys are out. Those other 6 guys are being asked to do a whole lot against a top 3 team in the country on the road. Then you got to turn around. I doubt they went back to Ames between Houston and Stillwater, so they probably haven't slept in their bed in over or close to a week. And now you got to go play Oklahoma State. Those guards were up in Iowa State's business for 40 minutes. I mean, you really had to be strong with the ball. I heard on the broadcast last night, one of their transfers led the country in steals last year. He's not doing that this year. Arturo Dean, I think.
Yes.
Don't quote me on that.
Didn't he have like 6 steals by himself?
Yeah. I mean, he was a man possessed. And it just like, I don't know how much of it is you're tired. I was a little concerned about the effort, quite frankly. And I think a lot of those turnovers are unforced. I mean, it's not, I would say once or twice a game, I see a post-entry pass that's just 2 feet away from connecting. And I don't know if we need to get Connor McCaffrey in here to do a clinic on post-entry passes, because that's about the only thing that guy did at Iowa for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years.
He dated Caitlin Clark now. Let's
true.
Let's show some respect. That definitely was a big accomplishment.
But it's just like unforced, or like you said, you're in the fast break, and I understand, like, I would guess the coaches are saying if you can get points in fast break, go for it. And I think that's why we're so aggressive once we turn a team over. But you got to kind of trust your half-court offense. And if you don't have numbers, and you don't have Keyshawn Gilbert from Maui, who was just like maybe the best transition player since Miami Heat LeBron James for, 3 games in Hawaii, like, slow it down, trust your offense. I really think Joshua Jefferson is the answer when you need a bucket. When you have just given up an 8-0 run, you need to slow things down. Give Joshua Jefferson the ball in the low post and just let him operate. And it's not always going to be him finishing, with a post move. But I really think that's when we can slow it down, get it to the guy that can kind of control traffic and play inside out. Because like you said, I just we're getting in our own way a lot of the time in terms of these turnovers.
I mean, it doesn't help too. Like, Taman is playing, and I commend him for this because he's playing with a broken thumb. Yep. So even our healthy guys aren't healthy.
Right.
It's not a joke, but it's just like, it's almost comical how banged up we are right now. And I don't know if, going forward, if TJ takes a step back on the aggressiveness of how we play, because it just seems to be like it's now, well, over the long course, it's hot and sexy in Maui. It's hot and sexy and early on in conference play, when everyone's trying to feel out everyone else. But now when things are starting to get real and we're starting to run really low on gas, I almost question myself and ask myself about this team. I mean, is it worth playing this hard all the time? And I know that sounds crazy, but to the point where it's almost reckless on both ends. Like, I just feel like in order to, you got to preserve your players to your best ability, obviously. And I just feel like is maybe switching up style of play the answer. But I never want to tell someone this late in the year to change up the style of play. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions we can ask. I don't hate in the meantime playing through Jefferson, because I think he's able to make a lot of great plays out of the post. He's a great passer. So that might be the move going forth. Because Arizona is not going to be an easy game, and that's obviously going to be a very emotional game going into Hilton Coliseum. But I don't know, man. There's a lot of question marks right now, and this is like not the time I want to be asking questions about this team, because we also didn't have these problems last year, which I thought talent wise we got vastly better this year. So to be dealing with these issues now is utterly insane to me. It's very frustrating, to say the least.
Do you think how easy is it for Keyshawn to presumably come back into the lineup against Arizona? I mean, we've played with all 8 guys maybe twice in the last.
I want to say, how
were we fully healthy during that 4-game winning streak? I'm trying to remember when Momcilovic came back. Did he come back right after the loss to Kansas? I think it was TCU. So during that 4-game win streak, I mean, like, I'm sure other fan bases are sick of us saying when we're healthy, we're, I don't know what is at this point, 18-1, 19-1. But it is true. But, like, do you think it's too late in the season to, okay, now we have all the guys back together. We just went on this rocky, month of February. But now everyone's back. Everything's going to be okay. Is it truly that simple? Because I was looking at the numbers, dog. There's not a lot of like huge red flags in the last 9 games where it's like, oh my God, we're suddenly terrible at this one thing. Like, there's not a single place you can really point as to where we've just fallen off the wagon besides, look, we've been down one of our key scorers almost every single game since January 27th.
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, I think it's quite literally just the way the team is built is everyone is playing to their strength. And the second someone is taken out of the equation, someone else has to go work overtime and do what they do. Oh, sorry, mic malfunction. Do what they do already, and then also compensate for that absent individual. Like, I don't know too many people in their everyday jobs that are going to be able to come out with a win and do a good job doing that. Like, it's not an easy thing to do. What we're asking 18 to 23-year-olds to essentially do, especially when for a lot of the season they've been mentally and physically preparing to do one or two things.
Specific.
like there's specific niches, and then when you're asked to like add a niche to your game in February, it's a crazy ask, to be perfectly honest. So I'll die on this hill. We need to just get healthy. We need to take care of our bodies. People, if you're sick at Iowa State, stay away from the damn basketball team, because I'm not going to be a happy camper if I find out it was some snotty-nosed junior who sneezed on Keyshawn Gilbert in class. Yeah, we're going to have some problems. You and I are going to have to meet outside. So it just comes down to, obviously, people just staying healthy, our team staying healthy, because when we are healthy, we're a completely different team, and we're one of the best teams in the country. So I don't think there's not really, like, the numbers don't lie. I think it's kind of set in stone who we are. It's just a matter of, can we control what we control? And I think if we can stay healthy, we'll be all right.
I want to go a little deeper into the Oklahoma State game, because the other thing that gave me a little bit of pause is I felt like Iowa State were almost gifted a couple of times in this Oklahoma State game potential to come back in, like to get back into the game. Like Oklahoma State's players, I think there was like 2 technicals, at least 1 flagrant, and like their star player. This is another. Nigel, I watch an absurd amount of college basketball. I would guess I'm in the top 0.5% of college basketball watchers. Let me get the name right. Abu Usman went to the bench with 4 fouls, with about 8 minutes left in the game, with 6 minutes left in the game. Keep in mind, if you have 4 fouls and there's 8 minutes left, you're probably not coming back till at least the under 4, and that depends on coaching. Comes back in with 6 minutes, and the commentators tell us, by the way, he only has 3 fouls now. I have never heard of that or seen that for sure all season. I don't remember the last time there was just like this phantom foul that the refs got wrong. They said some assistant coach on Oklahoma State keeping track of stats like had to confirm it with the scores table. What the hell is that, man? Like, huh? I could go back and rewatch it and try to count them up. But that was just a crazy thing. Usman was involved in a couple of crazy things. Didn't miss a free throw. He's a 70% free throw shooter. He's close to 7 feet tall. He shot, 60% from 3? Like, if a team as bad as Oklahoma State is going to beat Iowa State, I understand they need weird shit to happen, because on paper, literally Iowa State should beat that team by 10 points. That's what Vegas had it at. So weird shit has to happen in order for Oklahoma State to be in that game. But there was weird stuff coming out the windows in this game. Stuff I've never seen.
You know what that's called? Foul play. I think Vegas made a call.
Here we go.
And no, because I don't know. And I'm glad you brought this up, because it's not only the Oklahoma State where weird stuff has to happen. I think, I know a lot of people get caught up in the play-by-play of like what is going on in a game. But I pay very close attention, especially on College Game Day, to what our boy Jay Billis and the rest of the ESPN crew is saying on the play-by-play, like the subtle things. And I remember do you remember how they showed the referees, how they had those cameras on their chests?
Yeah. Though, by the way, I don't know what you're about to say. Just like as a viewer, as a television viewer, never do that again. Terrible.
No. I'm getting somewhere with this. They had the cameras on their chests, right? Jay Billis, being the smartass that he is, made the sly comment of, "Hey, make sure we turn those off when we get into the locker room." Hey, Jay, why would we have to do that? We would only have to do that if you were doing something as a referee that you had no business doing. Now, I'm not saying that in that game specifically, the refs cheated us out the game. No, LJ Cryer gave us the business, spanked us right on the bottom, and that's okay. He's 36 years old. He's played us 17 times. It's about time he had a good game against us. But in every little joke that people make, there's a tiny bit of truth to it. And I've made this point in previous episodes where, look, I don't think whether it's their wives or themselves, I think these refs are making parlays, man. There's just little nuances that, again, they go over the average consumer's head. You don't catch them in real time, but there's too much weird crap going on, especially in the Big 12, but just overall in college with referees, that you can't tell me that there's not a bit of corrupt action going on. Tim Donaghy was cheating on NBA games. Do you think people getting paid less at the college level aren't going to do the same when betting's legal now? Do you know who is refereeing ACC games now? Eric Davis, the same guy who was betting on the Celtics while calling Celtics games. He lost his job in the NBA.
Oh,
he's now calling ACC games. So the brotherhood, when it comes to the referee circle, like it goes very deep. And when these people have enough connections, they find their way back into the game. And you just can't sit here and tell me that there's just zero foul play when there's constant weird shit going on from a game-to-game basis, not just with Iowa State, in college basketball in general. And then for the commentators to be making subtle jokes about, hey, let's make sure we turn off those cameras in the locker. Like, why would we need to do that, Jay? We should get a full access halftime show from the referee's perspective. If there's nothing going on, if they're that noble of men, we should keep the camera on. Keep it right on your chest. I want to see you go on your phone, and I want to make sure you don't log into a DraftKings app, buddy. That's all. That's all. And look, if these people are innocent, they should have zero problem with it. Zero.
Nigel, I'm about to disagree with you on every single point that you made. With all due respect,
how? I backed it up with evidence, and I closed it out with a decent point. Like, what are they so afraid of? If they're not doing anything wrong, what's the problem?
I don't know what Jay...
Exactly. You don't know.
Let me finish. This goes on to a bigger point why I think instant replay and review in college basketball is so stupid. I think...
Even for that, why do they take so long to call basic replay plays? Like, it seems like you're plotting something.
It's terrible and stupid. But here's why it's stupid. I think college officials are so good at makeup calls. I think a ref instantly knows I messed that up. As soon as a guard makes contact with a big on the other side of the court, I'm going to blow the whistle no matter what. That should solve every single bad call, dumb review, take up 5 minutes of my life forever. Just give me a makeup call. Life goes on. You know, the game isn't going to be decided when there's 8 minutes left in the first half. I don't want to watch a 4-minute review with 2 commercial breaks. The other part about why is so much weird shit happening in college basketball, that is quite literally college basketball. Like, I
understand the kids.
Crazy stuff happens every single night. That's like just unbelievable. Like the Michigan State Maryland game tonight.
Yeah,
no note.
That's crazy.
Martin Scorsese couldn't have done that.
I'm not saying the refs have any foul play in that, but when we're at Oklahoma State, they're taking away fouls from a team who is clearly the underdog.
That was crazy.
What? Like,
that was crazy.
I'm not saying this happens in every game, but like an individual would set a parlay. You're not betting on every game on Tuesday night. Like, it varies from case to case, and these guys are not slick. They spread this stuff out so it doesn't look overly suspicious. But just know, I clocked it, and I clocked the sly comment that Jay Billis made, and I did not want to let that go over my head, okay? Why else would he say that?
Jonte Porter, have you been keeping up with that whole investigation?
I thought he was already in jail. What does that have to do with anything?
They're digging deeper. There's it was a Big 12 game from 2020. I think it was a Baylor Iowa State game from 2020. That is now, there's like $2 million put on that game. I don't remember all the details.
Porter?
No, but it was like involved. It was while they were investigating that, they found out a bunch of other stuff that now they're diving deeper into. So there is some precedent to shady stuff happening. I want to push back a little on that. College officials are openly putting parlays. Like, there is weird bad eggs.
I'm not saying they're all doing it, but that's my point. There's bad eggs, meaning there's a toxic culture starting. And if I don't even think it's starting, I think it's been happening. It's just bookies used to be a lot more low key. Now they got apps and stuff, so they're a lot more accessible. So I think it's even easier to do now. And I'm not saying every referee is doing this. But like you said, there are some bad apples. And to see corrupt referees come from the NBA because they got demoted because they were literally cheating, they're now calling college games. You think those guys aren't talking in the locker room? Hey man, how'd you get away with that for so long? I mean, it took LeBron to be able to kick you out the league. What was your secret? Like, they chop it up just like you and I. I'm so sick of acting like these people are robots, because they're human beings and they have a lot of power from a game-to-game basis. That's all. So to think that there's no foul play going on is crazy.
Josh Pate is big on this in the college football world. I 100% agree that officials should do post-game press conferences just like coaches and players. Because sometimes there is truly a question that nobody else can answer besides the official of, What did you see in that moment, and why did you call it what it was? Like, and that would answer some of the biggest mysteries in college basketball.
Well, yes, no, you're absolutely right. But also, too, like a player has to go to practice and watch film and be analyzed for their play by a higher official, a coach of some sort, or a boss, whoever that may be in the referee world. I don't know. I think they need to start doing that, too. Like, I think... You need to have meetings where you're held accountable. Hey, what was going through your mind here? Did you have your head entirely up your ass, or was it only halfway? Like, did you not see it? Did you get scared? Did you space out? I need to know what was going through your head. Like, I think being held to that level of accountability will go a long way. Now, I don't think anyone has the cojones to do that. So it's going to take, obviously, probably a bold individual to be able to be like the referee coach, but we need some sort of accountability from, obviously, I love the press conference idea, because the media would eat at that, especially if it came down to a controversial call. But also too, it's like, let's go back. This is your craft. If you're a referee, this is what you do, right? Let's go back. How can we get better? Because to go home to your wife and kids and think you did a great job when you're taking away fouls mid-game is insanity. Yeah. Like, this is the only profession where they're like, oh, I did a half-ass job. Get to go home. Huh? Come on, man. We got to do better.
And there is, like, again, I don't know who these shadow referee people are, but like the best rated officials, and I don't know who rates officials, those are the ones that are doing March Madness games. But, I mean, we still get bad calls in March Madness. There also is just a human element.
There's a lot less, though. There's a lot less in March Madness.
I mean, I think it is because it's the best of the best. I mean, you've got guys doing like 4 games a week all across the country, and now you're doing, probably 2 games a weekend. I would imagine that's a little bit easier. I think we have fully missed, if an official was ever going to come on our podcast and talk to us, I think that ship has sailed if they do their homework.
I really don't.
And if one came on, I think Nigel would curse him out to his face. So maybe it's for the best.
Look, man, I don't think any man should have that much of an impact on a basketball game, except for the people between those lines.
I don't know who the officials were, but they were going to catch a stray. I was watching Drake, you and I this Sunday. Fantastic game. Turned out to be a complete ref show and ruined it. That's when it sucks. It's like when you have a great game going on, and then...
And it's like it's Drake and you and I. Like, that's not killing the ratings, dude. Like, that's a good game. Don't get me wrong. Like in the state of Iowa, people take that very seriously, but that's not like, oh my God, this is at the top of ESPN's priority list.
That's not
like,
prime time.
Yeah, nobody came to see you. And that's the big thing too, is like there's an element of like, yeah, there could be foul play, but also I think people just like the showmanship when they're a referee.
Yeah.
I think they like doing the charge sign. That's why we need to change that charge sign. We need to change it to a downward dog, something embarrassing. I guarantee you those people will stop making them calls.
Hey, Jazz Coons, I think might set this like in stone most charge calls. You don't see him enough anymore. I honestly that would be a good question for odds. Like we never even try to take charges. There's been a total.
We'll probably break a leg. I don't want to try it with this game.
I mean, we used to just have a help defender slide right in. Jazz Coons is just standing straight as a pole, going to take one to the chest. That's an offensive foul going the other way. Now we go straight up, which is fine. But I also am an anti-charge guy. I hate it. I think that's such a weak thing to do on defense. I think defense is all about, we were talking about this before we started recording. Say it with your chest. Meet me at the rim. If you're going to stop a basket, go up and get that. Don't stand under the rim, ready to take a charge. Don't do the ethical thing. Put some guy on a defensive poster and send that ball to the seventh row. That's what I want on defense.
You say that, but then how many charges did Taman Lipsey his freshman year commit?
I mean, I love when I'm the benefactor of them. I just don't like them generally.
The charge is the Draymond Green of basketball moves. You love when your team does it. Yeah. But when you get called on it, oh my God, you want to crash out. You want to crash out. I get it. I totally get it. But yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of crashing out, where are you at with the last 3 games? Is this like we have to go 3-0 or the season's over? Is there an opportunity to go 2-1 and steady the ship? Where are we at in terms of panic button?
I don't think it's panic, but it's just like I said this 3 games ago, but literally it's continue to take each game one game at a time. Yeah. And especially the next one, because the next one should be personal. Hopefully Keith John is healthy, because I really can't. I can't. We have to beat Arizona. I don't ask for much. I'm at this point. I won't even ask for a national championship. I just need to beat Arizona. I can't. I need to send Caleb Love into adulthood as a loser. Okay.
He's well into adulthood, by the way. But I
like the job for like he's sitting in a waiting room in a suit trying to interview for like a sales job. That adulthood. But yeah, no, I just think we can't go out like we did last time. So I definitely feel like each game has a unique opportunity. BYU is not the BYU they were last year. So that's a very doable, winnable game. And then also Kansas State, even though it's going to be at their place, like that is a get back game as well. So there's a lot of like exciting opportunity on the horizon, obviously. And I think it's just going to come down to how we handle each game each day. But since Arizona is the next game on the schedule, I do want to make a PSA to all of Cyclone Nation, especially ones that will be in attendance to said game. Caleb Love is public enemy number 1. Like what you thought you were going to say, do, or what you did say and do to Tyrese Hunter when he came back to Ames. I need that times 25. Okay.
Sure.
I'm so serious when I say that. And to give you guys a little backstory, why Caleb Love left North Carolina in the first place.
Oh, we're getting into it. Okay. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I would love to. Why Caleb Love left North Carolina in the first place was over a woman. And this woman's name was Deja Kelly. Now, Deja Kelly at the time was on the women's team at North Carolina, and she is not an ugly lady. So this all makes sense when we put all the puzzle pieces together. But there was a love triangle between his backcourt mate, RJ Davis. Yeah. So between Caleb Love, Deja Kelly, and RJ Davis, they were messing with the same girl. and tensions raised, and they essentially got Caleb Love booted out of Chapel Hill because tensions were just it was too much. I mean, the team wasn't doing that hot, and then they weren't vibing with each other anymore. So that's how he got up out of there. So I need Hilton to be as petty as possible come March 1st. And anytime he touches the ball, and again, I don't care who you tell this to, your grandmother, the lady at the bank,
the
Scott
7-year-old,
the 7-year-olds in the kids section. Anytime Caleb Love touches the ball, I need there to be a Deja Kelly chant from the top of your lungs, please.
Yeah.
Not, and I need it to be in rhythm. So Deja Kelly over and over again.
Yeah.
Over and over again. And only when he touches the ball, when it swings to KJ Lewis, you guys can stop. You guys can stop. But the second he touches it again, we're back on it. We're back on it. It needs to be that aggressive the entire game. It needs to be restless. Okay. That's all I ask of Hilton Coliseum. I think if we do that, anything else we do on the floor will take care of itself. But I need Hilton to be a 6-man more than they've ever been this entire season. I like this game is so important for the culture that I need you guys to be entirely locked in. Please start that Deja Kelly chant the second Caleb Love touches the ball.
I don't know if we have any listeners in Cyclone Alley, which is kind of like the student section group that kind of like they get all the stuff ready for the student section. I know they hand out little like slips of paper. Mm-hmm. Please put anytime Caleb Love touches the ball, chant Deja Kelly.
Please. As loud as you can.
Yeah.
Also, go ahead.
What's Deja Kelly doing? March 1st. She's courtside seats. What do we? I mean, come on.
I doubt it. She's actually in Eugene, Oregon. She also hit transfer portal. So
still hooping.
Yeah, still hooping. But yeah, all right. bunch of fifth-year seniors just loving on each other. It's gross, man. It's like loving basketball, but like gross, So I think we need to take full advantage of this. I think it's some interesting lore that not any other Big 12 team has pulled out of their bag. Let's stand out from the crowd. Let's make it a little harder for him because I think he didn't even have the best game at Arizona.
No.
So
played like ass until he didn't.
Until he didn't. Until I guess it mattered that he heaved up a shot to God and God answered with grace. But we can't let that happen. So I think we have to kill that snake early and we have to cut it off at the head. So please let's start the Deja Kelly chant. I'm so serious when I say this. If you say this, Cyclone Nation, I'll love you for to the day I die. I already do love you guys to the day I die, but the love will only grow that even more. So please get that Deja Kelly chant this March 1st, please and thank you.
Nigel, I am a huge supporter of the all black uniforms, really any of the black and white uniforms in Iowa State football. Have been, always will be. If you don't like them, I don't want to hear it. They're awesome. They're sick. We look cool when we play in black and white. We look like the goddamn LA Raiders. It's sick. When it comes to basketball, we wore the all blacks when we went to Arizona. We wore them when we went to Stillwater. I think you light them on fire.
Burn them.
Yeah. I think you light them on fire. You don't look back. You let the football team have that. We've got the sick, like, throwback home whites, those, like, yellow ones with the script that we wore against Houston. I love those. Burn the black ones. Don't need the black uniforms.
Here's the thing. I don't like them because they're not the best, like, use of our colors.
Yeah.
Like black and silver, that's so lame. And even for football, black and white is lame too. Like I wish the base color would be I wish the base color would be black. I'm not mad at the black base color. What I am mad at is the lack of creativity within the number of like at least the outline. Like there's no red, there's no yellow.
I wish want there to be.
Dude.
Matt Campbell's whole thing is that dude wears black and wins football games. No.
Matt Campbell ain't making layups for our basketball team. I'm not talking about Mike Campbell right now. Okay?
Keep it to football. That's why we wear black in football. I don't know why we started wearing black in basketball. I think it was literally just because the football team did.
Yeah, we tried to be like the football team. We're not the football team, so let's be different.
That's what I'm saying.
I would love for the font to be either yellow or red, and then obviously the outline of the letter be the opposite color, whatever color you want to pick.
You can't do yellow because then you're wearing black, gold, and white. And a team that I really don't like does
black
that.
and red, and red, and then with an outline of yellow. Would that help you?
Well, then you're just kind of like Oak Hill or like Texas Tech.
What's wrong with
aesthetically?
Oak Hill's jerseys they go crazy. What do you mean? Those are great jerseys.
Yeah.
Dylan doesn't think so. Okay.
I like the only thing I think of when I think of Oak Hill is Lindo Wigington, which is just, it's out of all the people that have played at Oak Hill, that's it's obvious why I think of him. But what I'm saying is I don't mind them aesthetically, but we lose games when you wear them. So don't wear them.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing.
And that's the thing. I think we just need a different type of alternate jersey. I think we can go light gray.
Sure.
Let's try light gray. Let's see how that works. Maybe a cream Iowa State, dude. Come on now, hear me out. Or we just really dive into the retro jerseys and see what we. I think that's where it's at.
We have so many cool retro uniforms that we could tap into. Yeah. Iowa State does.
Like the way Michigan State brought back the 2000s jerseys.
Yeah,
they're like alternate white home jersey.
Like the Mateen Queens.
It could be something as subtle as that. I wish we would just tap more into that as opposed to trying to just find different color schemes, because you can only do so much with scarlet. Cardinal gold and white and black. There's only so many options before people start getting angry. So I think we either got to go old logos, or if you're going to stay modern logo, you got to go cream. I love a good cream. I'm not going to lie. Pause. That sounded crazy. I'm sorry. Yeah. Wow.
Nigel, we've got 3 games and then the Big 12 tournament. I will say we've been rather lucky around the country with teams around our seed line also losing games. A&M has started to lose.
Florida also lost to Georgia. So
Florida lost a game. Tennessee could still lose a couple more. They have a tough end of their schedule. Purdue is falling apart at the seams. So I still think Iowa State is right in play for a 2 to 3 seed line, but you want to see. I heard commentators saying tonight, you don't want to be playing your worst basketball going into the conference tournament.
No.
And Arizona, like you said, get back game. It's a screw Caleb Love game. Hilton should be on fire, charged with electricity, blowing up fireworks. Then you got BYU senior night. And BYU is going to shoot threes like nobody's business. I don't know if they're going to make them, but they're going to attempt 50 of them. So you got to hope they miss a couple. And then on the road against Kansas State, Kansas State no longer has anything to play for. They just lost to UCF. Maybe the NIT, but please God, ruin Jerome Tang's night. And then you're 3-0. I still think we'd be a top 4 seed in Kansas City. Please get healthy. And please start playing basketball that we've seen this team excel at all year. The other thing I want to say, I remember talking about this team in January and saying this team might be different. And as an Iowa State fan, once in a blue moon, you get a team that truly is different and kind of ascends the other really good teams Iowa State has had. Once every 20 years, you might get a great team. And I really thought this was that. And I still think there is a capability for that, but we're on track to probably lose just as many games as we did last year. We might be a lower seed line than we were last year. But I think in terms of greatness, it comes down to March. And I really hope we have a better March than we did February.
Yeah. And you got to think too, the more seeds we drop in the later few weeks of the year, obviously, it's going to really take into consideration what region we get put into.
Yeah.
Because that's going to matter. The top 4 teams we've been talking about majority of the season, I don't want to see any of them in the Sweet 16. And if you're a 4 seed, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. So I really do want to see us kind of take right now that 3-2 seed is in our destiny. It's right there in our hands, and no one else is. Look, we're not the only team in the country banged up right now. I get that. So I think too, it's just if we're able to play the best basketball we can right now, I think it can really benefit us. So to a point where we don't really have to go out and win another Big 12 title, tournament title. So I think these last three games are extremely important. They're all very winnable games. It's just going to be, coming down to, are we going to be healthy and how bad do we want it? Because right now, still more than I think anything. I think the last thing you want to do right now is settle for a 4 seed. I think if we don't win out, we're looking at that area of come bracket time. So definitely want to lock in. If you're asking me, I wouldn't go 3-0. I think we can go 3-0. But again, we're not playing so hot, so I don't want to necessarily bank on it. But hey, a boy can dream.
Yep. Amen to that. Also, 8:00 tip on Saturday. How do you feel? Do you like a tip that late?
Oh, oh my God. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, to answer your question, yes, given the opponent, I think it builds up a lot of anticipation. Also, too, I think we played Arizona pretty late on a Monday at their place.
Yeah, we did.
I feel like
stayed up till midnight.
It's not going to be too foreign of a thing. It's like we've kind of already done it. I think it's probably the best game to play on a Saturday night at 8:00. So I feel really confident about it. But I also think too, it's a matter of how hard is our home crowd going to show up. And I know that's not usually a thing I have to worry about. But this one is just a bit more personal, at least for me. So I'm not going to be able to be there. So people cheer for me, because if I was there, I would be saying some foul things to Mr. Love. There'd be no love in the air.
Drink plenty of adult beverages, be sloppy, be slobs. I don't care what you have to do. Make Caleb Love not enjoy his stay at Hilton.
Throw a clone cone at him. Throw a clone cone at him right after the warm-ups. Just take a lick and just right in the case, the jawbone. Just do something. I mean, you might be banned from Hilton for the rest of your life, but it was worth it. You can tell your grandkids, hey man, it was worth it. I left that place a hero, and that's all that matters. That may not be the best advice, but hey, take it at your own risk. Take it at your own risk.
Sure. We do not condone throwing things at players. If you do it, don't say you heard it from us. Nigel, is there anything you want to say before we get out of here?
I think I'm good. Oh yeah, we forgot to tell this last episode, but LeVar Ball lost his foot.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on, man?
Did you see the graphic?
Yeah.
We are in an age where there's just some crazy graphics being made. No, did it say like foot amputated and then it was just a picture of LeVar Ball?
Like post-surgery, he's like smiling.
Yeah.
In a wheelchair. And I thought it was like, I was like, this is AI. There's no way this is real. But yeah, unfortunately, he did have to lose his foot. So get well soon, LeVar. Hopefully we can get back on your foot. And get back at it and keep being your old positive self. But also too, since we're on the topic of talking about like funny graphics, your boy, former Brooklyn Net, Dorian Finney-Smith, your boy. Yeah. He
fuck naked, wide open.
Bro, a media member asked him, how does it feel playing with LeBron James and Luka Doncic? And his reply was butt naked, wide open. So yeah, that's awesome. Hopefully Milan Momcilovic can use that same quote come post Arizona. So fingers crossed on that one.
The other thing I want to say before we get out of here, Tyrese Halliburton been absolutely hooping since the All-Star break. I want to shout out KCCI's own Aaron Marner. If you recognize the name, big Cyclone Twitter guy. Tyrese has gone 22 points, 9 assists, 29 and 12, 19 and 15, 33 and 11, shooting 63% from the floor, 53% from three, hasn't missed a free throw, and he's only got 4 turnovers. Mercy. So whatever that guy was doing at All-Star break, it worked.
Shooting knuckleballs. It's working.
And if we can get some of that mojo to Hilton Coliseum, man.
Yeah,
that'd be
Tyree,
nice.
if you're not doing anything, man, slide to
Right.
slide to
Pull
Ants,
up.
please. We need
Pull
you.
up.
We need that energy.
All right, Nigel. Let him cook. Big one against Arizona. Big finish to the season. Let's take care of business.
Please. It's the only thing we can do. It's the only thing in our hands right now. Let's handle it. And I hate you, Caleb Love.
Yep.
We're out.
Amen.